Hello, this is Yo Sensei. In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to create a chair with an articulated form. In Rhino's loft command with record history, we can build forms that are very precise and detailed way. We will be using an example of Linna chair, which is a chair made out of wood with beautiful form and detail. You can download the support files from the description section. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is to create a new file on Rhino. And so to go into file, new, using template would be nice. And large objects inches. So you can start with this template that is going to give you the inch as unit. You can check the units at the bottom of the page, and if it's not, then you should go ahead and change your model units. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we would like to import the photos of the chairs into this file. So what you do is picture frame, picture command, type just picture, and then it's going to prompt you to go to this. Open the image, so you can click on the front view of the chair and then click on the front area and do not hold shift but get it in there. Okay, so that would be for the front view. We will do the picture command again, picture, and we will find the side view of the chair, and then again we're gonna start and don't hold shift. If you hold shift, it's going to break the proportion. So you have the chairs pictures here. So so now it's a little bit problematic that my side view is a lot bigger than my front view. So and then it's supposed to be on the other side. So I can just rotate this 180 degrees, and then kind of move this guy over here to get them to be about same size. So to get them to be same size, what we want to do is we would like to create a plane, rectangular from corner to corner, and then kind of draw this rectangular plane in this area, and then we can first align the bottom of the picture to the plane. Okay, on front side, and on the right side we will bring it down. Okay, and then we can copy this object and go to the top of the chair so that we can really see if the top of the chair is correct. So in this case, it's slightly smaller. So we can use the gumball to make it smaller and kind of adjust it. So that scale-wise, they are pretty good. It's slightly off because this picture is in perspective and the backside is kind of not at the bottom. So we're gonna have to deal with that. That is fine. So now we can just then the scale absolute numbers. So what I think what we know is for the lounge chair, the distance from between bottom and ceiling surface is about 16 inches. So what we can do is select all of this type scale, and then click at the bottom of the plane and click where is the seating surface is going to be and type 16 inches. So that has determined our absolute scale to be 16 inches. So the way we will be doing is that we will be drawing in this kind of like general area. So you can kind of get them to line up and kind of clear this area for the model. Okay. Now I think it's a good time to organize our layers. So we can put these pictures into picture layer, which is here, picture. and then we can put these planes into a grid layer. So we can organize this as a grid. And I think we can call it the first purple layer model 1. And maybe we will have model 2 layers. Okay, so these are the basic kind of structure of the layers. So again, we can put these red grid ones into grid layer. Another thing that I think we need is the center line on the grid layer. So you can go in, activate the grid layer, and then draw a center line. I think somewhere around here would be the center line. So that would be on the grid. So for now, we don't really need to show the grid, so you can activate model 1 layer and deactivate the grid layer. Okay, so that's the basic setup part that you need to get started on. Okay, so we are going to continue making this stuff, and maybe it should be near the central grid. ZSA, zoom selected all to center your objects into the center of the screen. Okay, so in this case, what we're gonna do is we are going to start drawing the detail of this. So in this case, the geometry that we are using is a pentagon object, so pentagonal object. Okay, but we want to be very precise and symmetric. So you can draw a rectangle, draw another line, and then draw a polyline around it to kind of create a perfectly symmetric pentagon. Okay, so you can delete this. So we have this pentagon. So now we are going to move this pentagon into the place where it will be on this top arm. Okay, so we can just start by kind of scaling and then using gumball to really align with this area. Okay, so it's here. Oh, I think this image needs to be here on this side in order for you to show. Yeah. So okay, so that's that. And then you can copy this line several times. So maybe here where it gets skinny, and maybe here, and then at the end we will have this one here. And so I guess we can just copy this one at the corner. And now what we're gonna do is we have to rotate this one so that it's going to be matching in this edge condition. So you can scale it for this to go. But other than what's on the diagonal line, you should keep everything to be straight because it's going to be a lot easier to manipulate your objects later on. So we put the lines along this edge, and this part is going to be a lot skinnier. And this one is very skinny. It's kind of hard to see. And maybe I don't need this one. So if you look at these objects in array, they will look like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4 curves. So now we are going to go into our front view and again adjust scale and positioning. So we can just kind of pull this scale handle on this area, and we can see that the taper on this area is pretty minimum. Okay, so it comes in. So we can just select this object, take these control points, projects on, and then you can kind of move it. So but we want to be straight here, so you can run move command with project on to move this object within the line. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky, but I hope that's helpful. So in this case, it's slightly bigger. On this side, this one's okay. But now we will look at the front view and kind of figure out how wide they should be. So they can be, kind of, they can align with what you have in your area. So this one is the edge piece, which is very skinny. And the control point, again, on this one is pretty shallow. So you can select these points and then move them along pretty close to the edge. So this object that we have here is less of pentagon, but it's more like a rectangle. So now we have 4 lines. So what you can do is click on history and then click on the turn on record history and then type loft and then loft between these lines. So what's going to be tricky is that we need to align all of the seams and direction of these curves. Okay, so in this case it's at the bottom center chord and headed left, so it's next one, but the last one is on the bottom left chord and facing down. So we need to move this seam by clicking on the corner point and then clicking on the other point. Okay, and then you can click on the tip of the line to change the direction. So now we have these 4 curves that are headed towards same direction and same position. So that's how we create loft. So this is quite nice. But when you actually look at it on the perspective view and look at this object, so I think the curvature of this side is quite nice. But I guess this side needs to read a little bit more straight. And then this chord should be slightly wider. So you can kind of like manipulate it so that it's going to, follow shape that is a little bit more precise from the object. So in this case, so the reason what we are doing right now is that we are manipulating this object by the curve that created the loft, not the surface. Okay, so if you change the poly surface, it will break history. But the beautiful part about lofting is that you can manipulate this parent object that consists this sweep. You can control this object by and then the resulting form is going to change. So this is really helpful, but try not to move your resulting lofted surface when you're doing this. Okay, so that's a pretty nice chord of the curve. So next, what we're gonna do is we are going to again this time copy this straight curve, copy, and then go to front. Okay, so when we are doing this, it's very important that we are only dealing with orthogonal angles, 90 degrees angles for the most of the chords, because when you stretch or make 2D or move things around, when objects are in 3 dimensions, it's very difficult to control the shape of it. So make sure that this is just 90 degrees, and then it tells you to break, it breaks history, but it's okay. So now we are moving this curve into this side and then scaling it and scaling. Okay. Now and then you can select these control points to kind of move to where they have the control points. Okay, so that's good. Copy this object multiple times. So this time, this object is going to be pretty straight. So on this leg. So we are going to create a copy. Oops. And I think it should be on top of this, pretty much directly on top. And then copy this object 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay. We want to go with relatively small number of objects. So this one's fine. This one kind of expands, so we can just, you know, expand it going this way. And then take these control points and move them back. And then here we have these control points. And the tapering angle is pretty steep at the bottom leg. So I think that's going to create an interesting kind of transition from the straight edge to tapered edge. Okay, so now we have these curves. So what we can do is we can go, some of the object has gotten wider. So we will control the width of this by kind of keeping them in the similar position. Okay, so now we can loft these objects. Make sure record history is on, and we loft. And then again, seams you have to be fussy about. So center right, center right. So we have to change the seam to center and right, center right, center right. So it's almost perfect. So you enter and loft. So what's amazing about this command is that you can modify the shape after the fact. So I am looking at my right view, and this part is going way too dramatic. So you can kind of, you know, move stuff around to manipulate the shape. So in this case, this piece is, you know, kind of going a little bit too much. So you should try to find a place where this object is going to go, and which gives you very similar type of curvature to what it exists. Yeah, I should probably have another curve here. Yeah, that I think it's pretty good. So that is the front leg. And again, we will take the form in 3D view. This one looks pretty good to me. So that's our second chord. So our third chord is going to be taking one of the curves, copying them from one side to the other. Okay, so once you have copied this pentagonal shape onto the other side, we can rotate 180 degrees to be on the other direction. So we will do the same thing. We will copy, move these objects along the way, and move the tip of the pentagon, and then move the edge. So we can really get, you know, close to the form and copy these objects in a way that they work the best. Copy. Okay. So now this corner should be here. This corner should be here. So this is a tapered part. Okay. Tapered part is going to come in, and tip of the pentagon is going to come like here. Okay. So it's really nice. So now we will do the same. We should probably check the form in the front view. So in this case, this chair actually takes this kind of turn, and this will indicate the width of the surface, you know, legs in different points. So you can manipulate the legs width watching this stuff. I think what happens is that towards the back, this chair actually doesn't really you know, have this part in the front view. So you're gonna have to kind of make a guess. Okay. Eventually, what you care is how it looks in 3D. So turn it off, and record history is on. Loft. Tip and towards the outside. Moves the tip to the outside, and so those are good directions. So enter to loft. Okay. Yeah. So that's quite nice. I am going to check the form using my front view. Yeah, it looks really nice. Okay, so that is good. So now this bridge part is actually a pentagon, so 3 faces on each side, so pentagonal size shape. So we can go into the front view and kind of use grid snap to create symmetrical pentagonal face shape. So we can just use the grid to draw pentagon that is symmetric. Okay, so we can bring it here, turn off the grid snap, and then change the scale and go into our side view, right view, and then move this line and keep them vertical. It's going to be really useful when they are. Okay, so bring it down and then drag to select these control points because there are more than one control point on this one. Okay, so that's good. So we will copy this one 3 times. I think 3 times would be a good time for you to copy this. Or actually twice is fine because this part is straight. So you can just move this one from here to here. Okay, and then loft. And then this is an example of bad seamed loft, okay? Because seams are twisted, even though I just made a copy of the same object. So type loft, and then click on the same part, and then seams are right, directions are right. And then that's when you can create this kind of clean loft. Okay, so one thing about record history is it's great that you can adjust your shape by dragging, controlling the child objects. But if you trim or Boolean difference or do some kind of operations, you will lose the ability to manipulate your shapes to record history. So that's problematic. And so when we do this, we kind of like take this moment and then copy everything into new layer, and then we have the record of our previous state that is actually still editable. So that's a good kind of design practice to do. I think I screwed up this lofting again. So loft, record history is on loft between this curve, this curve. Yeah, I think there's something going on with this edge. So I'm just gonna change this edge condition to this corner of this shape. Yeah, so now it's clean again. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to trim out this area. So the way you should trim is that it's a little bit bigger than exactly the seam point, because what we're trying to do is we are going to create a blended shape later, and when you do that, it's a good idea to have more smoother transition from between surfaces. So we will get to that. Okay, so you can draw this kind of line, and I will draw a line somewhere around here. Okay, and draw a line somewhere outside of the seam that is, pretty generously big, and then run trim command to cut out these faces. So now we have, trim command and press enter, and history, okay. And then we have these holes. Okay, so there are holes in between, so that is good. And another thing that would be helpful is to draw a line between this open area with project off from this corner to this corner. Okay, and then align our pentagonal shape to it. Okay, I guess there was no history for this one. So pentagons should be aligned with this line, so that it will read pretty straight. Okay, so again we will loft between this and this. Okay, so the next command is going to be super cool. It's called blend surf. Okay, blend surf. So it's going to blend between opening of the surface and opening of the surface, and it will kind of blend them in a beautiful and smooth way. So here's what we're gonna do: blend surf, and then select first edge, and select second edge, and then it will create something like this. But we want these whole edge loop to connect together. So what we're gonna do is run blend surf command, and then click on chain edges. Okay, chain edges. So Rhino is gonna ask for first segment for first edge. Select segment for first edge. So we will keep selecting all of the segments until it closes. Okay, so everything got closed. And then Rhino is going to ask you for select segments for second edge. So in this case, you will select these segments, and then it will ask for the seam. Again, it's the same thing. It's going to, you have to move the corner to bottom point, and then it seems like they're in the same direction. So now we got this kind of situation where things are a little bit twisting. So you need to ease these, use these lines to ease it a little bit. Okay. And maybe position, yeah, if you activate position 1 and 2, unselect position. So 1 is position, 2 is curvature. I think that would be the cleanest way to make it. So we have this beautiful transition from this side to this side. So that's good. Next, we will do the same command, blend surf, and then chain edges, first edge, second edge, third edge, fourth edge, fifth edge, sixth edge, and then select the edges, and then align the seam point of the edge at the same point. In this case, goes on top. Blend surf, chain edges, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bottom chord going to that direction. Okay, so now we have this, and then you can so 1 is going to adjust the position, and position should be in the right place, and the curvature is controlled by number 2. It's not really doing great, so you can test different options, I guess, in this one, and see if you can find a good combination. Okay, so it's creating some kind of weird wrinkle around my objects. Okay, but that will do. I will try to do it again. Blend, surf, chain edges. Okay, position and curvature. Okay, so that is pretty good. It could be better, but it's okay. So now we turn on this thing, and so we have the both legs. Okay, so now the next move is to join all of the legs, type join, and join all of the legs. Turn on the grid so that we can mirror copy the legs to the other side. Okay, so that's good. So now the last part is this side seating line, and so what you can do is you can just run a control interpolate curves point, interpolate curves, and make turn on project snap. Okay, this part is really important. So by turning on project snap, it won't draw your curve in a uncontrollable way in z direction. So we can kind of follow the curvature on the seating and get the shear to be inside of this. Okay, so that would be that. And you can also imagine what would be the center line that is going to dip a little bit more at the bottom, and then it will become a little bit more flatter towards the end. Okay, so this one is going to come to the middle, and then the other curve is going to go to be copied as mirror command. So now we can use the same strategy of taking recording history and lofting. Loft. Okay. So now we got this kind of surface. So now you have to actually manipulate both outside curves at the same time because they are symmetric. So I'm just going to group them. And then when I go and find my side view, and this part is coming out a little bit bigger, which is fine, I guess. And then go to front view. So in this case, this chair has this kind of like very iconic shape of coming down on this way. So what you can do is select both curves and type PON, 4 points on, PON. And we have these control points. If you do select both on right side and left side and change the scale handle, it will let you scale on both sides. So that's going to be helpful for creating this kind of surface. Okay, and then you can kind of take both sides of the curves and then get them to be inside of the surface. Kind of hard to choose, so you can go to side view and select them, and then kind of scale them in. So we want to get these surfaces to be inside of yeah, I just locked the blue layer so that I don't have to deal with that. Oh, I was actually only manipulating on one side, which is not a good thing. Yeah, now it's slightly not symmetric. Oops. So after adjusting your curve in the side view, now is the time to go into your 3D view and manipulate this object. So you can turn on control points on, take these two control points, and then kind of get them to fit inside of the chair. You know, adjust the form in a way that it works nicely. Be really fussy about the details of things. Change it to ghosted view is going to show you some of the control points. So you can really, you know, go in and edit the parent curves to really, you know, adjust the form in a very detailed way. So that's nice. But the way this chair is reading is that the middle point is going to kind of come down. So we can just do that by, you know, manipulating this curve. And this might be a little bit too harsh, so, you know, you can kind of adjust the shape a little bit like that. Okay, so that's quite nice. So also, again, this chair has this kind of, you know, angle that are kind of cutting out this part. So what you can do is run a polyline command and then just draw this kind of line and then mirror to the other side, and then use these lines to trim surface and surface, and after that you press enter, okay, and press enter. Okay, so that has created our chair for the most part. Last part is to add thickness to the seating surface. So select the surface and offset surf, and then add 0.5 inch of thickness. Okay, make a solid option. So that concludes our session for creating this kind of Linna chair. And so with using record history in Rhino, you can get very, very detailed in terms of how you make the form. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please use this for your own design. Thank you very much.